Have you ever noticed how much energy you waste trying to look strong when inside you feel like you're crumbling? You keep the mask on. You smile, you nod, you play the role of the unshakable one, the one who can take rejection, betrayal, criticism, all of it without blinking. But when the noise stops and the day ends, the silence is brutal. It's that quiet ache that eats at you when no one's watching, the heaviness you carry like an extra layer of skin. You tell yourself, if I don't show weakness, maybe it'll go away. If I stay untouchable, maybe the world won't find where to hit me. But the truth is, the harder you try to avoid pain, the deeper it finds its way in. The more you numb yourself, the more hostage you become to every careless word, every absence, every cold silence. And that's the worst part. Not that others hurt you, but that you keep living as if they own the power to destroy you. And this is where we get it wrong, because strength was never about avoiding pain in the first place. And this is where Jung flips everything on its head. Carl Jung once said, "We are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become." And that one line flips everything, because strength was never about building walls so high that no one can reach you. It was never about pretending you don't care or teaching yourself to be cold or cutting yourself off so no one can see your scars. Strength, real strength, is about integration. It's about dragging out of the shadows everything you've been hiding from. The wounds, the shame, the fears you swore you'd never admit. It's about looking at them under the light and realizing that true resilience isn't the absence of pain. It's the awareness of who you are even while you're bleeding. And maybe that's why you've been tired for so long, because the armor you built to protect yourself has turned into a prison. You're not living free. You're living locked away, guarded, suffocating behind your own mask. The power isn't in being untouched by the world. The power is in knowing yourself so deeply that nothing the world throws at you can take that away. But here's the catch. If that's true, why do you still suffer so much? Why does every rejection, every silence, every careless word still break through the cracks? Let's face the trap. You think what breaks you is out there. The betrayal, the rejection, the words that cut deeper than a knife. But here's the brutal truth. None of that has the power to hurt you unless it's touching a wound that already exists inside you. What hurts is not their action. What hurts is what it awakens in you. The story you tell yourself when they leave. The memory that still bleeds when someone says the wrong thing. The emptiness you try to hide under pride, under "I'm fine." And maybe you've been clinging to the biggest lie of all, control. Believing that if you're good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, people won't hurt you. That if you play your part perfectly, life will finally give you peace. But control is a mirage. It's the chain that keeps you locked in constant tension, always predicting, always defending, always bracing yourself for the next punch. That's why you're exhausted, because you've been fighting the wrong war. You've been fighting the world, when the real battlefield has always been inside you. And that's where Jung's hardest truth comes in. The enemy isn't outside at all. It's the unconscious you keep ignoring. The real fight isn't out there. It never was. The real battlefield is inside you, in the parts you've buried so deep that you've convinced yourself they don't even exist. Carl Jung said it best. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And isn't that exactly what's been happening? You call it bad luck, you call it destiny, but really it's just your blind spots running the show. That sudden anger that explodes out of nowhere, that sadness that swallows you when everything seems fine, that pattern of toxic relationships you swore you'd never repeat, but somehow always do. None of this is random. These are your ghosts, your wounds, your unspoken fears crawling out from under the rug where you've shoved them for years. And the more you ignore them, the louder they get. You keep wondering why small words from strangers break you, why silence from someone you love feels like a knife. It's because those words and silences are pressing on raw wounds that never healed. You thought ignoring them would kill them, but the truth is, ignored wounds don't die. They infect everything. And yet, instead of facing them, most people try to look strong by pretending they don't exist. But that's not strength. That's something far more dangerous. And here's the trap most people fall into. They confuse running from their wounds with strength. They wear masks so polished, they forget what their real face even looks like. They tell the world, "I don't care anymore, nothing gets to me." But the truth is written in their eyes, in their restless sleep, in the way they keep numbing themselves just to make it through another day. That's not strength, that's corrosion. That's pain eating you alive from the inside while you keep pretending it doesn't exist. Real strength isn't about being untouchable. It isn't about becoming so hard that nothing cracks you. Real strength is when you let yourself feel the cut and still stand tall. It's when you pull the shadows out of hiding, face them in the light, and accept them as part of you. Because once you've embraced your own darkness, once you've looked at your deepest fears without flinching, the world loses its power over you. People can still disappoint you. Life can still break your plans, but nothing outside of you can dismantle what you've already made peace with inside. That's when you stop being a puppet to the world and start becoming whole. But the only way you get there is through the one thing you've spent your whole life avoiding: pain. And it's time to see pain for what it really is. But let's not sugarcoat this. Pain is brutal. From the time you were young, you were taught to hate it, to see suffering as weakness, to swallow your tears, to distract yourself the moment something hurt. And maybe that's why your pain keeps returning in new disguises. Anxiety that eats you alive, boredom that numbs you, anger that burns through you when you least expect it. Pain doesn't disappear just because you refuse to listen. It digs tunnels in your chest until one day, everything collapses. Jung had a different vision. He believed pain was not your enemy, but your messenger. Depression, grief, emptiness, these weren't punishments. They were signals. He said, "Depression is like a woman in black. If she appears, don't send her away. Invite her in, offer her a chair, and listen to what she has to say." But that's the one thing we never do. We silence ourselves, drown in distractions, pretend the ache isn't there. All the while, the pain keeps knocking louder because it's trying to get your attention. It's trying to tell you what you need to face, what you need to change, what part of you is begging to grow. That's why suffering feels like war, because one side of you wants to move forward, but another side clings desperately to what's safe, even if it's destroying you. Growth hurts. Cutting ties hurts. Letting go of old identities hurts. But in that pain, something new is born, because pain is not the end. Pain is the beginning. The fire that burns away the mask, the storm that washes off the dirt, the collapse that finally shows you who you are when there's nothing left to hide behind. That's why suffering is sacred. It's not there to destroy you, it's there to strip you down to the truth. And once you know that, the question is, what do you actually do about it? Because knowing is not enough. You have to act. Here's how you start. You can't just think your way into emotional strength. You can't just listen to ideas and expect your wounds to heal. At some point, you have to do the work. The kind of work that feels uncomfortable, raw, even humiliating at times. Because healing isn't about finding comfort, it's about facing the very things you've spent your whole life running from. So here's where it starts. The next time something cuts you, a word, a rejection, a silence that stings more than shouting ever could, don't brush it off. Don't drown it under scrolling or convince yourself you don't care. Sit down with it. Write it out. Not just what happened, but what it stirred inside you. Was it abandonment? Was it the old feeling of never being enough? Was it shame you thought you buried years ago? That's not weakness. That's the map to where you're bleeding. And until you see the wound, you'll keep blaming the knife. And when the pain shows up, because it will, stop treating it like an intruder you need to push out. Give it space. 10 minutes. Close the door, sit still, and feel it without numbing yourself. Ask the question no one wants to ask. What are you trying to tell me? Because pain always has an answer if you're brave enough to listen. Another step? Name your shadows. Out loud, not in some poetic metaphor, but in plain language that stings. I'm terrified of being abandoned. I feel worthless when I'm ignored. I chase approval because deep down, I don't think I matter. Say it. Hear yourself say it. Because once you drag your demons into the light, They stop whispering in the dark. And then there's this: stop avoiding discomfort. Stop making your life a padded room where nothing can touch you. Every day, do something that unsettles you. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Take the cold shower. Ask for what you want, even if rejection is waiting. Because pain doesn't shrink when you run. It shrinks when you face it on purpose. And at the end of the day, before you crash into bed, take a few minutes and replay the movie of your day. Where did you react too strongly? Where did you shut down and pretend? Where did you hide behind your mask? Don't judge yourself for it. Just notice. Because that's how the unconscious loses its grip. Not through perfection, but through awareness. This isn't glamorous work. No one will clap for you. No one will even see most of it. But over time, these small moments of honesty, these tiny acts of courage, begin to build something unshakable. Not armor, not a mask, but a core, a center that can't be touched because it no longer fears being seen. And that's exactly what Jung called individuation, the brutal, liberating process of becoming whole. Most people never make it this far. They build their lives around masks. The achiever, the tough guy, the one who always has it together, and they never dare to look beneath them. But Jung called this process individuation, and it's brutal. Because it's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. And that means tearing off the skin you thought was yours, facing the shadows you swore weren't real, and unlearning everything you believed made you valuable. You start to realize you're not your achievements, you're not your trauma, you're not the polished image you built so others would love you or respect you. Those were costumes you wore to survive. But surviving isn't living. Individuation is when you stop hiding in those costumes and start asking the question, who am I without all of that? And it hurts, more than rejection, more than betrayal, because you're stripping away the lies you've lived with your whole life. But once you've burned through it, once you've looked your shame in the eye and it no longer owns you, that's when you become untouchable. Not because nothing hurts, but because nothing defines you. You may still feel pain, but it doesn't shatter you. You may still be hurt, but you don't lose yourself in the hurt. True strength isn't about a shell that keeps the world out. It's about a core that can't be taken away. That's what individuation gives you. A center so steady that storms can rage, people can leave, life can break you down, but you remain whole. And that's why the final truth matters, because nothing outside will ever shield you unless you wake up inside. This is what consciousness really means. And here's the truth you can't avoid. Nothing out there will protect you. No strategy, no wall, no mask will save you from pain if you stay unconscious of what's happening inside. You'll keep getting wrecked by words, rejections, losses, because you've given all the power to the outside world. Awakening isn't some magical event. It's a choice you make every day, to look inward instead of pointing outward, to take responsibility for your feelings instead of blaming fate, parents, partners, the past. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." And that's it. That's the whole fight. You've been resisting your fear of not being enough, your emptiness, your loneliness. But the moment you turn and face them, they lose their grip. True emotional immunity isn't hardness. It's clarity. It's presence. It's knowing your wounds so well that when life presses on them, they don't control you anymore. You still feel, but you don't drown. You still suffer, but you don't collapse. You dive deeper than the surface, and in that depth, there's silence, stability, power. Because people who live on the surface get knocked down by every wave. But those who dive deep, they learn that no matter how wild the storm gets, the ocean is calm underneath. That's the place you're moving toward. That's the place where nothing and nobody has the power to hurt you. If this spoke to something inside you, don't just leave it here. Choose awareness. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Because the moment you say it out loud, I choose awareness, you're no longer just listening to words. You're stepping into them. And that's where the real transformation begins.